Yeah. Um, hello, subscribers, patrons, fans, followers, supporters, and generally anyone who happens to stumble across these videos. Welcome to another Johnston Blackhorse live stream. And in this stream, I'm going to finish up this commission here. And I think this is going to be the last live stream for a while because, I'm just tired. Um, I think the next little streams or whatever what am I trying to say? Commission recordings or recordings of my commissions that I do will just more or less in the future just be speed paints. But yeah, this week I just started doing live streams and just got hooked. It's been pretty fun. And in the future, I think I'll save live streams for things such as like Let's Draws because as commissions go, they seem pretty. As I work on them, they seem pretty constrictive in a sense. Um, just because I have to. Well, I guess mostly for these because I have to draw them in a certain way to suit the needs of someone else having to build a 3D model on top of them. But the other live streams I do, such as like Let's Draws, they're just more free and expressive. And I think I'll just keep it to that. Excuse me. And just for the most part, just kind of keep it fun because these last few streams I've been doing, just doing straight commission work, and for these very standard and generic poses needed for these 3D modeling reference images have just been pretty standard. But I'll just reserve all future art streams for things such as like Let's Draws and like more interactive stuff like that. Because doing them for commissions, there's not much room for, I guess, interaction or comments and such. But I'll continue to do them for Let's Draws and what was I? My other videos, what were they called? How to Arts and the other one, sketchbook tours. Oh man, my brain is just jelly right now. But hard for me to remember these words, these things that these sets of videos that I do. But yeah, I'll just reserve the live streams for those. The Let's Draws, How to Arts, and sketchbook tours. And I guess anything that is just more interactive than these commissions. Like when I work on commissions, I think I'll just keep them as like speed paint commissions. So like for the next um, commission after this one, I'll record it, but I'll just keep it as a speed paint. But anyway, anyone who happens to watch this, I hope you're doing a good day. I hope. Oh, I'm just so out of it right now. I hope you're having a good day. Not that you're doing a good day. What's going on? Why isn't this playing? Is it on autoplay? I don't know. But yeah, those who are watching this video, hope you're doing a good day. My day was pretty okay. I walked my ass down to a Skechers store because I needed to buy new shoes. because the other day I found out that I had worn out my other pair of shoes, and it sucks because I feel like I just bought them not too long ago, and they were great at first, but just the other night I accidentally stepped in a puddle, and the bottom of my foot, I could feel like it got wet, and all I could think was, oh no, I already wore a hole in the bottom of my shoes. And when I got home, I looked at my sneakers, and just sure enough, there was a hole worn right through. And looking at the bottom of my shoes, like yeah, they're really worn out. I had no idea I'd walked or ran that much to just wear those shoes down. But you know what? They were pretty cheap. I got them at Walmart, and they were about, I believe, below the price range of $15. So they were like 10 to $15, like a $10 to $15 shoes that I had bought at Walmart. Just because my previous shoes, like before those ones, had worn out as well. I had worn a hole in one of the in one of my shoes, and so I needed another pair. But that pair, the one that I wore out the first time, like lasted a lot longer than my more recent pair that I had just thrown away in a garbage bin by a bus stop after I bought my new shoes at Skechers. And I got these new shoes at a decent price. It's like went to Skechers, and like a lot of their shoes are pretty pricey, but they do have a clearance section in the back. So just peruse the clearance section for men's shoes size 10, and found a pretty decent deal. I think it was probably the best deal there, because it was like a pair of sneakers for $60, but on clearance it had a clearance tag of, let's see, I believe it was 70% off. Is that right? I think it was 70% off for a pair of sneakers that originally cost $60, and I ended up paying like a little over $20 for them. So yeah, I think I got a pretty good deal on them. There are other sneakers there that look just as good or better, but they were like $90 with the same clearance tag of 70% off. And I think I did the math, and that would have been like $27, which is okay. But you know, if I could find a better price, which I did, went ahead and got swooped up that pair. So yeah, that was my morning. Had some breakfast that consisted of oatmeal. Had a little leftover barbecue pork rib that my roommate cooked last night. I think I might cook something tonight that involves potatoes, because I bought a sack of potatoes a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to work through them before the potatoes go bad, because I already had one of the potatoes go bad, and forced me to take out the whole bag and just wash the rest of the potatoes, and get rid of the ones that were starting to not look so good. But I had some pretty weird dreams last night, and one dream, I just had to wake up, and it was oh man, it sucked. It had my heart racing. Not that it was like actually that scary, but the dream was just stressful. Oh man, uh, just recounting the dream in my head is just not very favorable. But I'll tell you what happened. Like in the dream, somehow I was like playing the part of some sort of a private investigator or a detective, and I was partnered with this other woman, and she was a very attractive woman, like a blonde hair. I believe it was shoulder length, kind of like a not straight blonde, but it was more like a chestnut type color. But she was very attractive and just fun to work with in the dream. And like I said, we were kind of working as either investigators or private detectives or something. And a case that we were working, we were like working on these abduction cases, like a certain abduction case, and we're trying to find like this either girl or teenager or woman that was abducted by a certain individual. So we had a suspect, and when we tried to like follow up on some leads, like a lot of these leads were either disappearing or um, they were getting um, they I guess they were dying or something. So a lot of the leads that me and this other investigator had in this dream were just refusing to talk to us, and got the sense that like we were the next targets. But that if that wasn't stressful enough, like it's like just a total out of the blue type tangent thing. Like I look out the window from where we're um, trying to chase down these leads, or like just doing all of our research. I look out the window, and way off in the distance, I see my ex coming over the hill. And I just freak out. And just a little like brief history is that yeah, it was a very toxic relationship, and I'm glad to be out of it. And one of the things I really didn't like about the relationship is just having to constantly walk on eggshells just so I don't piss off my then girlfriends, because like it hardly mattered like what I did or what I said. And a lot of the time when we were together, I would look forward to the weekends, but then I would be afraid of like what I would do or what I would say, because like any slight misstep would just ruin the I guess ruin a whole weekend. And uh, it was to a point where I just couldn't allow myself to be myself, because I always felt like I was disappointing her. And for her to reappear in this dream, a lot, a lot of that anxiety started coming back. And I, in a sense, I was trying to stay calm and like not freak out. And I told like the partner, investigative partner I had in this dream, that my ex was like coming over the hill, and she looked over, and then she's the one that starts freaking out. And then in the dream, I get a sense that there was some sort of like budding relationship or something, and I don't know what my ex was there for. Maybe she was there to like wreck shop because she doesn't want me to be happy or something in the dream. And the girl I'm with was, or the girl who I was partnered with was starting to freak out. And then like I tried to comfort her or console her in the dream. And as my ex is getting closer, I look at this girl again, and all of a sudden she's taking on the same appearance as my ex, and like things just started getting really weird after that. And then I just woke up. And I woke up and my heart was pounding, and it was just like, oh man, that was just a very uncomfortable, stressful dream. That sucks. And so I had to get up, drink a glass of water, lie back down, try to calm myself, because like it's just having to deal with her again on just a unconscious like dreamscape level was just bad in and of itself. It just threw me into a panic like that. But I think that's one of the main reasons I don't want to pursue another relationship anytime soon is just because of uh, the obligations I fear that come with a relationship. Because with this relationship, like there was just so much self-sacrifice or compromise. Like there's compromise on like either side of a relationship. Like no matter what relationship you get in, there's always a form of compromise on both sides. But for me, like I felt like I was compromising a lot. Like I I was sacrificing time with my own family to spend time with her family, and not not hanging out with any of my. I pretty much had to abandon all my friends for her sake. Not that she wanted me to, but like a lot of my friends just thought it was like a pretty bad idea, but I didn't want to listen to them because I wanted to see. I guess more like more my fault than anyone else's because I just really wanted to be in a relationship. I was just tired of being alone, but freaking hell, it was it was hell. So like me not wanting to be alone, and there was a partial pity in there, and also the stubbornness of not wanting to fail at my first relationship just kept me in this toxic environment for longer than I needed to, and just I lost a lot of things about myself through that whole ordeal. So it's nothing I really want to put myself in again. It's like the next time I even attempt to look for another relationship, I'm going to be very, very nitpicky. Not that I believe that there may be girls or like ladies just knocking down my door, just wanting a chance to date me. Like, no, that's not it at all. I doubt I'm anything but that. But if there ever be another chance where I could get in a relationship, I'm just gonna have some very high standards just so I can avoid the the toxicity that I was stuck in for several years. But yeah. So I guess I guess for now I just want time to just be me. I guess really to I guess what I really want is just time to be myself, to be comfortable with myself because there are just so many aspects of who I am that I just held close to my chest, not wanting to um, expose myself or my feelings or even my artwork to anybody around me. But now that I'm forced to more or less bear this to the world, it kind of makes it easier. So with that just came like this sense of acceptance, since like okay, it's out there now, so there's no reason to hide myself, no reason to hide what it is I like to draw or view. You know, like I'm Behawk, I'm Natus, I'm Rule 34 Rocks, I'm which Oh, yeah, those are my adult synonyms. I do have like a few others, but those are the, I guess, more notorious ones. But yeah, I am these various artists, and you know what? I'm comfortable with it. So after having to come out with all of this, being forced into the spotlight, as it were, I come to the realization it's like I don't have to deal with it anymore. I don't have to bear this burden. You know, it's no longer my issue. It's everyone else's issue to have to deal with me. Well, in a sense, it's not like I'm forcing everyone to like view my raunchy artwork, but it comes down to the fact that it's like, hey, I'm I'm me. This is who I am, and like, if you don't like it, then I don't know. Then you don't like it. You don't have to deal with me then, and you'll just have to either live with it or just move on. That's it. So I don't really feel I have the need to um, what's the term, to bottle a lot of things up anymore. So right now I'm like at a point where I'm just being comfortable with myself, and I'm good with that. And getting comfortable with new people or other people is just like something else that I'm just kind of doing as I go along. Hmm. Hmm. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ho hum. Hmm. How would this work? I guess that's good. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself. Just me, myself, and I having a conversation, talking about this, talking about that. Oh, shit. Don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be okay. Sooner or later, things are gonna change. And when they do, they're gonna change for the better. Because as we see things right now in this country, we have to acknowledge that things have been in somewhat of a stagnated sense of existence. It's much like a still water pond. We're beginning to suffocate on the excess bacteria that is culminated in our own stagnation. And this is only due because of all the overbearing systematic rules and form of government that is somewhat profiteering off of restricting our God-given liberties and freedoms in this country, based on their own um, ideological morals or religious values. But the thing is, this country was supposed to be managed in a sense, separating church and state. But the lines between both of those have become very blurred over the years. Why is that? It's due to fear. Government officials and higher echelon that are working in government are utilizing fear in order to make some of our liberties and constitutional rights illegal, in a sense, utilizing censorship and overbearing demands for propriety in order to systematically gear our government toward an authoritarian directive. And we as Americans have just blindly let that happen. Mostly because we're distracted by a lot of the things that are published by media, such as reality television, which is pure and utter garbage, but has somehow dulled society's senses and the perception of what's been going on around them. So we got to wake ourselves up, take the initiative, and reattain many of the rights that we have lost. And the only way to do this is just to acknowledge, first we have to acknowledge the problem, then we have to address it. Only then can we begin to set forth a effort to find a solution. I believe I might have that solution. And that solution is, just like how the government has been criminalizing a lot of our constitutional rights, or capitalizing on our constitutional rights by enforcing strict laws and overbearing policies, we need to enact laws which hold our government officials and upper echelon accountable for their wrongdoings. We should no longer accept hypocrisy as a normal part of our lives, but instead criminalize hypocrisy. Because there are too many people who work in government who get away with the same crimes that they punish regular citizens and put them away in prison for years at a time, whereas a government official or higher echelon working in government suffers little to no penalties for their egregious or unlawful acts. We need to set forth a new system of checks and balances to manage the people who we elect into power. We have to strip away impunity. That's the only solution. We have to police those who police us. Call out a foul when we see it, and when that foul is verified, have those officials suffer the severe repercussions for their unlawful, willful, and unwarranted acts. Because in a sense, these elected officials aren't just breaking the law, they're breaking the Constitution. A document which should be held sacred in this country, but sadly isn't. Due to our ineptitude, because again, we as a people in America are just so distracted by all the bells and whistles that are surrounding us, either in media, social media, or the fancy electronic tools that we are so glued to, which of course causes us to be ignorant of all the atrocious violations that occur around us, perpetrated by our trusted elected officials, peoples in government, and high echelon. So as your president, I will see fit to hold all those responsible for their unconstitutional trespasses and make them suffer the severe repercussions. for their actions. Because again, I remind you, they're not just breaking the law, they're breaking the Constitution. And at this point in time, we should start holding that as an egregious offense, not only against the American peoples, but the country itself. So let's do that. Let's strip away the precious immunity that guards all these corrupt officials and hold them completely responsible for their willful abuse of power. Vote Johnston Blackhorse 2020. Let's take America back again. For the sake of true justice, true freedom, and true liberty. I think I should work on that speech a little more. I'm just kind of like talking off the top of my head, but I think it sounds pretty good. Oh. BRB, I'm gonna grab some more water. Oh, my hip. Put this down for a minute. Whoops. And I'm back. Ah, Skippy's here. Hey, Skippy. Yeah, we're live. We are going live. Did you catch a little bit of my speech there? Oh, instead of making this more work for myself, I'm just gonna copy and paste. Whoops. I believe just so long as I'm honest and frank about everything, I might have a decent chance at winning some votes if I were to run for president. It's a crazy idea, but for true justum, justum, I can't even speak right now. But for true justice, liberty, and freedom, I think it's worth a shot. Vote Johnston Blackhorse 2020. Let's take America back. Hmm. I have no idea what her shoes look like up from the side. I'm just gonna just draw like that. Skippy says, yeah, sounds like a good idea. I guess talking about my run for presidency, maybe more ordinary people will be more encouraged to run for president. And I think the issue nowadays is that people just see it as like a somewhat of a status symbol or um, vying for a position of power, nothing more. And it's like it shouldn't be that. Like people shouldn't um, seek government positions for a pay bump. I mean, I'd like to do away with that just right off the get go. Because if you're going to serve in government, like you shouldn't do it for like a pay increase, you know. Like any position in government, I'd like to enforce a rule that if you're going to work in government, you more or less have to accept like a standardized, like a set uh, form of payment. So like someone who's like working in a higher seat of government won't earn more than someone working at in a lower portion of said government. Because I believe it's not like something that you should seek in order to gain popularity or like afford to buy a bigger house or faster cars or things of that nature, like materialistic possessions or whatever. It should be more of a somewhat of a self-sacrifice. Like you're sacrificing a portion of your time, your effort in order to serve this country. Like it shouldn't be something that you um, gain like a massive amount of profit from. And I think that's where a lot of corruption comes, is that they are just so driven by money, and like money just clouds a lot of these issues. You get governors and politicians, senators who accept like huge donations for their position, and they accept these huge donations or gifts and such to do favors for corrupt purposes. I mean, come on now. And Scooby says, however, I'd be worried that liberal socialist commies SJWs would run for office. I think that would be crazy because, like, hold on, just like looking up more reference. Trying to draw her shoes properly. Trying to find more reference for her shoes. Because are they straight up like ballerina shoes or? And again, I don't know why I'm being so nitpicky about some of these details. I should just fudge the details and just keep moving forward. Let the 3D guy figure it out. I'm trying to figure out if like there's just one strap that just wraps around the whole shoe, like a pair of ballerina slippers, or if there's like multiple straps here, because that's what the reference looks like. So I guess I'll just do that, just to keep this thing moving along. Yeah, I'd be afraid of like moralists or extremists just like running for government, because we don't need any of that. Just like things such as morals like shouldn't be mandated or dictated by any form of government. Like we already have like laws set into place to criminalize like actual crimes such as like crimes of violence, murder, rape, theft, damage of property, things of that nature. And just so long as we have laws such as that, like we don't need like laws to govern like people's morals. And I think that's where where the censorship just goes too far. I mean, as far as censorship should go, and I've stated this before, is the censorship should only consist of regulating when and where certain material um, is released or published. It shouldn't mandate whether or not like a certain form of like expression of art or material should exist or not. Like that's when you start getting into policing thought, and by policing morals, like that's when you start getting into that territory. So I'd be very wary of someone who's like running for like a form of or a seat in government or something, who um, is just too overly religious and That's one of the things like people tend to forget is that church and state are supposed to be separated, but I see like a lot of these decisions and a lot of these laws are seem to be loosely based on uh, like a certain set of individuals, like a sense of morals or um, ideological beliefs. So we get like a lot of these just redundant laws pertaining to offensive material, such as obscenity laws. I mean, who's to say what is and what isn't obscene? Like, sure, you can say something is obscene, but that shouldn't be grounds for making something illegal. It's up to the individual who's viewing it. And if it is deemed obscene, if somebody wants to view obscenity, that should be their freedom and liberty to do so. I mean, that freedom and liberty of someone who wants to view or produce or take part um, in obscenity in the party of consenting adults, they should have the freedom and liberty to do so. And to encroach on that freedom and liberty just for the sake of sensibility is just grossly unconstitutional. So, what I'd like to do, and just running for president, is just, or I guess when I take power, is just to like just streamline the government and undo a lot of these ridiculous, superfluous laws that govern morals or sensibilities and such. Uh-oh. I had to stop playing that song. I think that was the song that got my one of my videos pulled from a different country or something. Let's see if I can find another playlist. Hmm. Doc Hot Techno. Let's go with that. So yeah, with me as president, I'd like to um, take down a lot of these laws, especially the ones that seem to be loosely based on um, guarding sensibility, morals, and more or less religion-based laws that dictate how people should conduct themselves. You know, because a lot of these superfluous obscenity laws and morality laws just encroach too much on like freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and just a lot of that stuff that we're supposed to have in this country. But sadly, a lot of that has gone to the wayside just because of a lot of this ridiculous social justice movement and political correctness. And political correctness has gotten to a point where it's just hindering liberty instead of, you know, like um, protecting people. Sweet. Done with the rough sketch. Let's bump this up to its final resolution, which is 360, which is what all these previous commissions have been exported in. Oh, I haven't been naming these layers. Hair, rough. Clothes, rough. No! I know. There we go. Okay. Oh, there's my BRB thing right there. I guess I already did one. Let's see. Yes, here we go. Oh yeah, I just remembered a point I was trying to make earlier about how laws shouldn't govern morale or obscenity, things of that nature, and like laws that are loosely based on um, ideological uh, ideological beliefs or morality, or just loosely based on religion in and of itself. It's like in this country we have the freedom of religion, but that should only go as far as to like you're free to enjoy whatever religion you want, but you shouldn't be, I guess, forced to believe or just forced to live a certain way based on these laws that follow, I guess, religion. So you have freedom of religion and also the freedom to just not be governed by religious rules. I was having issues with my Control Z. And you know, again, we already have rules that govern like actual crimes. So like things that are actually harmful. You know, like violent crimes, murder, rape, theft, damage of property. Like these like uh, basic laws that are related to actual crimes are more or less the only laws that we need, in a sense. So, like other laws that, such as obscenity laws, they just have to go. Like, no more of this nonsense. Like, oh man, I was offended by your expression of speech or your form of artwork, and because I'm offended, we're going to throw you in prison. So you won't offend people anymore. That'll teach you. Like, fucking hell, what? That's just grossly unconstitutional. And the people who like put these laws into place, these obscenity laws and such, should be held accountable for their unconstitutional enactment of these overbearing, draconian, ridiculous laws. Let's take some of our freedom back. Let's take some of our liberties back. Vote Johnston Blackhorse 2020. Oh man. Oh. Oh, 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 oh. Ah, nuts. Oof, man. Hey Skippy, you still there? Is there anybody out there? Hey Skippy, if you're still there, you have any suggestions for a how to art this coming Monday, which is tomorrow? Because I was just thinking about doing like another a third part to the how to draw butts or how to art butts. Such a weird title. How to art booty butts. I think that's what I have it titled as. But after that, like haven't had anyone make any new suggestions for a how to art video. I'm gonna grab myself a little snack. Oh, Skip, you're still here. Off in Dreamland. I was just asking, like, if you have any ideas for a future how to art video, maybe after tomorrow. I went ahead and made myself a sandwich because I realized I hadn't eaten lunch yet. Yeah, but for tomorrow's how to art, I was just thinking about doing a third edition of the how to art booty butts. You fell asleep during my art stream? I figured I was boring. I didn't think I was that boring. Well, that's cool. Um, um, I think you mean future. Fruit, fruit, future, future. Yeah, I've seen his art. Creator of that, or I think co-creator of that game, Unter Alterbach. Never got to play it, but I've seen his art from it. Well, I did get to play it. I just couldn't figure it out because it was in Dutch. It was in German, and because I couldn't figure out what the characters were saying, I just deleted it. And this was like this was years ago. And then watching one of the playthroughs, it pointed out that the language selection um, thing is actually the Dutch flag or the German flag, and you can switch back and forth between the German flag and the American flag, which, or is it a British flag? I can't remember, but that's how you toggle um, the language in it. And I wish I had known that. Maybe I would have been able to actually get the full playthrough experience. But yeah, I don't know where he is now. Like from last I heard, like I guess he um went to retirement. Like I don't know if it was him, but I remember reading comments that supposedly he made in one of the public Rule 34 forums, just stating that he wanted to focus on something else other than lowly art. So I don't know any updates of him as of right now. Excuse me. But yeah, he's one of the lowly artists that I admire. And if I ever had the chance, if he ever came out of retirement, like I'd be willing, or if I'm able to, I'd be willing to animate like a Unter Alterbach 2. But that's if I can get the government off my back with their unconstitutional bullshit. I'm going to become president, find them all guilty of breaking the Constitution, have them all executed. That's what I'll do. For the sake of true freedom, liberty, and true justice for all. Those freaking ass clowns. Ah, nuts. No. Yep. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Mm, 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 mm. Skipper says he had a hard time finding a place for his art. I remember when I first started, like there were like only a few message boards I could post on that catered to lowly art. I remember one of the first ones was a message board, an adult message board called Secta-chan, and it was mostly in Spanish. Like everyone who posted there spoke Spanish, but they had a lowly artist board, so I started posting there. And then I found like a few forums, like I believe it was called Violet Chan at first. No, wait, was that? Ah, I think it was called Violet Chan at first, and then went from Violet Chan to Flat Chan, then Flat Chan to something else. I can't remember, but then ultimately it went under. And I have no idea why. Well, I guess a lot of these like lowly boards are getting shut down just because of this stupid obscenity law. Like no one wants to contend it, no one wants to fight it, but in all actuality, it is a very unconstitutional law because you can't criminalize obscenity. The courts claim that obscenity it goes against society, blah blah blah, this and that. But obscenity is in the eye of the beholder, and it's just subjective. But even if found to be obscene, it's up to the individual whether or not they want to take part in that obscenity. Like, there are people out there who enjoy viewing obscene artwork, and they should have the freedom and liberty to do so. But to take that away, you're encroaching on, like, what was it, to you're encroaching on, like, mandating thought. And there's like a there's a constitutional law that says that there should be no um, oh man, what was the wording in it? Oh shoot, I can't remember right now. I used to remember it like right off the top of my head, but it's been a while since I've thought about it. But um, just stating that there should be no law that regulates thought, and to criminalize obscenity is just a form of precisely that. It's like it's a law that's criminalizing like a form of thought. Like they don't want obscenity to affect society's thoughts, adversely, or they don't want people to express their obscene thoughts in obscene like form of artwork. And that's just grossly unconstitutional. And like this law should be stricken from the books. And the people who thought it up and enacted it should have to face some severe criminal repercussions, because again, like I state, that they're not just breaking the law, they're breaking the Constitution. And like they're just going to continue doing that until we hold them fully responsible for their draconian acts in just making these ridiculous laws for nothing more than protecting people's sensibilities or their own sensibilities, and for the sake of propriety. I mean, fuck off already. So like it's just going to keep getting worse if we allow it to continue, if we allow this gross unconstitutional act to continue taking place. And sadly, no one wants to fight against it because they don't want to be seen as like that pervert who wants to like who's for obscenity, for the corruption of like American minds, or blah blah blah, this and that. It's like that shouldn't even equate. I mean, like bottom line is that a lot of these laws are governing a form of thought, and that should not be allowed in this country. I mean, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get out of here. Get the hell out of here. I mean, stop it. Anyway, let's see. Skippy says, I remember when PH kept taking my art down. PH. Oh, I assume that's premium hentai? Is that it? Or Planet Hollywood? Planet Hollywood kept taking your art down. The hub. Oh, Pornhub. Okay, now I know. Whoop. And I think these obscenity laws are just affecting way too much of like our day-to-day lives, especially in my situation. Like I can't get another not YouTube, PayPal account, because no matter like what I'll do, they're just gonna search up my history and find my pre-existing um, pornographic works, and then they're gonna deny me again. I mean, like, who the fuck do you think you are, PayPal? I believe that's just like an unlawful form of like censorship. Is like I'm just trying to make a living off of my artwork, and at this very moment, like I'm not producing any pornographic works, but for them to deny me like a legitimate pay for a legitimate artwork just based on the fact that I have pre-existing adult artwork out there is just freaking stupid. And I believe it's an unwarranted form of censorship, because when I do business, like I do business with like-minded adults who want to pay me for the artwork that they're seeking. And that should be our business and our business alone. And for PayPal to restrict me, like that that form of payment, it's just like a form of censorship. They're like saying like, hey, we don't agree with your art, so you can't use our services to get the payment that is yours to have from this private transaction. And it's freaking bullshit. I mean, these laws are just governing or like bullying a lot of other these other companies to just encroach on a lot of freedom everywhere, and like a lot of these other like adult websites are just getting shut down left and right. I'm to understand like the website or the forum that I used to release a lot of my natives artwork on, the Violet Chan turned Flat Chan turned something else before it shut down. Like I don't know the purpose behind it shut down, but I do believe that it was part of like a lot of these websites that went down due to like these overbearing, unconstitutional obscenity laws, and it's ridiculous. It's like and there was another forum that changed its rules due to the obscenity laws, and it was Hentai Foundry. And before it became like such a big issue, Hentai Foundry had a section for lowly art, and there were a lot of lowly artists there. But recently, you know, like after I got out, I think the first time over a year ago, I believe, like I found that it had changed its rules, and they weren't allowing like lowly art anymore, lowly con, and any of that stuff. And it was like due to these bullshit obscenity laws, and it sucks that everyone's willing to bow down to that bullshit. And depending on how my appeal turns out, like I'm just gonna fucking butt heads with this freaking issue again and just force the issue once more. This time on a more, I guess, on a bigger scale. Like just kind of get the word out there that like the unconstitutional lengths and depths this corrupt judicial system is willing to go to. I mean, they already sent me to prison once for my artwork, and I think that was only allowed to happen because a lot of people were unaware. But as they became aware of it, like a lot of people agree that that shouldn't have taken place. And right now, just a lot of people are somewhat intimidated because the government's willing to do that. But no, it's like that shouldn't be the case. Like the government should be fearful of the fact that yeah, people shouldn't. The people who don't agree with it should be just more boisterous about it. And sure enough, depending on the results of my appeal, I'm going to be hella boisterous about it, just to make people aware. And like, this is something that we shouldn't stand for. Like, despite the subject matter and the depictions held within, like, no matter what they depict, like, it's just still a form or expression of art. And any expression of art, no matter the expression or the depiction, should not be criminalized, because it's a very scary, like step toward an authoritarian or totalitarian system that people should not be, they should not stand for it. And it's no reason to like fear your government. It's a reason to just like be upset with your government and then take steps to undo a lot of these unwarranted friggin' unconstitutional laws. And then the people who have enacted them or enforced them should be made to suffer like severe legal repercussions for their unconstitutional trespasses. And a lot of that goes with the whole like friggin' hypocrisy rampant throughout the system. Is like authority figures and like judicial figures, government figures are free to just punish as many people as they want for what they feel is adverse. But then when they're found guilty of doing either the same or like um, or more severe acts, they suffer little to no repercussions just due to this impunity that they enjoy. And that needs to be done away with immediately. And that's the only way we can start seeing like a shift in the like toward true freedom, true liberty, and just getting a lot of our rights and constitutional freedoms back. So this is something that needs to be addressed, you know, despite um, the subject matter. It's still an expression of art, and that shouldn't be dictated or mandated by any person, um, government entity, or the government itself. And we have to make it clear that we can't put up with this bullshit, because it's just very un-American, goes against everything this country was supposed to stand for. Because either all forms of expression of art are okay, or none of it is. And the only way we're going to get any of those liberties back is just to hold all these corrupt officials and overbearing um, people who enact these laws, these draconian laws. We got to hold them accountable for these unconstitutional offenses. And if you're someone who works in government and you're someone who works in the legal system, this and that, and it's like you're held up to a higher standard, and you're you're part of the government, so like you should know what you're doing is wrong. You should know like either a law or like enforcing an unconstitutional law is an unconstitutional offense, and it's up to that individual, that judicial worker or government employee, to like recognize an unconstitutional law or an unconstitutional trespass for what it is. And I'm sorry, like if they're found guilty of like said unconstitutional offense, they should be held fully accountable, and it should be considered a capital offense because they're held up to that higher standard, and they know like the Constitution, American rights and liberties, and so on and so forth. And for them to like willingly um, trespass on that, it should be considered a capital offense, because they're not, again, they're not just breaking the law, they're breaking the Constitution. And if we don't hold the Constitution sacred, they're just going to continue stepping all over it. So we got to make a change. We got to make a shift and just take away the impunity of these judicial authorities and government powers who enforce these overbearing draconian laws. Take away the impunity and make them suffer the repercussions for their unconstitutional biases or frivolous ideology. Because what they're doing is just taking away that freedom of choice, the freedom of choice to partake in anything obscene or what have you. You know, just as long as there are no victims involved, you should be free to engage in whatever liberty or freedom that you want. And that's something that we're losing nowadays, is that everyone should have the freedom and liberty to do whatever they want, just so long as they don't encroach on the freedom and liberty of another individual. And I'm talking about actual freedom and liberty. I'm not talking about like people's sensitive, sensitive. What am I getting at? Notions of subjective notions of right and wrong, or their sensibilities or whatnots. Because like if you're offended, then just please move on. Don't make a freaking huge stink about it. Don't make some huge political movement. And even though you feel like you have the freedom or right or freedom of speech to do so, you can't utilize freedom of speech in order to restrict someone else's freedom of speech. Things of that nature just need to stop. Oh, Skippy says it's pretty bad. People's using Bitcoin. Yeah, someone like suggested that to me. It was like, since PayPal has restricted my account several times, I just don't want to even deal with PayPal anymore. So I'm left with just having to utilize like money orders or just other forms of payment, which take longer than PayPal. And this is me just trying to make a living off of legitimate art. The only reason PayPal's restricting me is just because I have pre-existing adult artworks out there. Like, oh no. Like, fuck you, PayPal. Like, fuck you and your sensibilities. Here you're censoring me just because I have pre-existing art out there. And you're negating me the access to like make money off of my own artistic abilities. You're restricting my form of capitalism. I capitalize on my own artwork and my own skills that I've acquired throughout my lifetime, you know, as an artist trying to strive to make money off of my art, trying to make ends meet, trying to be profitable with my artwork. And for PayPal to restrict my capitalistic endeavors, it's like, shame on you, PayPal. Like, when I become president, execute all these like unconstitutional government workers and everything. I'm just going to go after all these other companies who freaking bowed down to these draconian laws and just fine them a lot of money and imprison them for a set amount of years for towing the line of this friggin' systematic authoritarian and totalitarian system. Because that's what it's coming to. And then, you know, people have got to wake up and just realize the bullshit for what it is and have the freedom and courage to just fight for what is right and just undo a lot of this unwarranted BS. And companies who are so willing to encroach on people's expression of art, or encroach on people's capitalistic endeavors for their expression of art, should also be made to suffer legal repercussions. Of course, not as severe as the government workers who enacted these unconstitutional endeavors or these unconstitutional laws, but they should be made to suffer like certain legal repercussions, such as, or in the form of either imprisonment or a hefty fee, or both. So say like the people who run PayPal are found guilty for encroaching on like the capitalistic endeavors of artists such as myself, because they don't want people to utilize their platform for their certain expression of artwork. Because like there are several pay site platforms that mirror the same wording in PayPal's terms of service, but your terms of service shouldn't like pick and choose who you do business with, just so long as that business does not, again, encroach on the freedom and liberty of other people. If you're just dealing in straight artwork, which I am pretty much doing, like I should be allowed to just make or capitalize on my own artistic endeavors, you know, at will. And for companies to get in the way of that should have to suffer severe legal repercussions, but you know, not as a capital offense, you know, because they're not government employees. They don't work for the government, or they're not government officials, this and that. They're just a company or a platform. But to utilize a platform in order to utilize your platform in order to censor people, that's a no-go. So companies who practice that, like any company that practices that, should have to face like some serious court or legal issues, but not in the way of a capital offense. That would only be reserved for the corrupt government officials, uh, senators, governors, and anyone who's found guilty of making or enforcing corrupt, draconian, unconstitutional laws. And as your president, I promise to do away with all these unconstitutional laws, and those who have enacted them will be made to suffer the severe legal repercussions as far as a capital offense goes. And for those companies who also took part in these unconstitutional laws and endeavors will also be made to suffer legal repercussions in the way of hefty fine or prison time, or perhaps both. So, vote Johnston Blackhorse 2020. Let's take America back again. I can't wait to I can't wait to start making promotional uh, campaign or presidential campaign videos for myself. That'd be pretty interesting. I'll write up speeches. Maybe I'll buy myself a cheap suit from some suit outlet store. Get a green screen backdrop or something. Create graphics, posters, stickers, and buttons. Skippy says he's running out of daylight. Doesn't know what to do today. Do you have Netflix? I just started watching Disenchanted from Matt Groening on Netflix last night. Oh my god, that show was funny. Forget a laugh a minute. Like it was like a laugh every 15 seconds. Oh, Skippy doesn't have Netflix. Well, I have no idea what I'm going to do later today. So I think I'm in the same boat. All I do is draw, watch Netflix or Hulu, YouTube videos, go on an hour walk every now and then, contemplate my future presidency, for true freedom, justice, and liberty for all. No, it should be for true liberty, freedom, and justice for all. So vote for Johnston Blackhorse 2020. I'd be a pretty kick-ass president, if I do say so myself. A vote for me is a vote for Natus. You ever think of that? Yeah. Natus in the White House. Wouldn't that be something? Hell, maybe I should make campaign videos promoting me as president and Natus as my running mate. Either Natus, Behawk, or Rule 34 Rocks as my running mate. I don't know. I think Natus would make a good vice president. Bihak could be like an executive of something. Rule 34 Rocks, some sort of secretary of state or something. But really, the major members of my cabinet would just be consisting of my other pseudonyms. That'd be funny. That would be funny. But perhaps I should take it seriously. Yeah, this is for America. I'm gonna finish off the last bit of my sandwich. Oh, as your president, I would also uncover every conspiracy out there. And I would be all for seeking alternate fuel sources, digging into some of these supposed patents that have been seized by the government for cleaner burning energy. And for those government officials who are guilty of withholding or suppressing these beneficial patents will have to be investigated for reason as to why they saw fit to suppress some of these um, patents that would have been beneficial to all mankind years ago. But first off, I just got to make sure that these patents are legit, the conspiracies are legit, and then for for those who are guilty of these conspiracies, you know, hold them fully accountable. And every conspiracy that I uncover, you know, just I'll be also under like a full disclosure thing, and just expose it all to the public. Just make sure the public is aware, and also to be sure that none of this conspiratorial um, offenses take place anymore for the sake of, I don't know, money, power, corrupt authority. Let's do away with all of that. And I'm just the man to do it. So you better believe that once I'm president, I'm going to uncover all of these conspiracies, and I'll hold all the conspirators accountable for their conspiratorial acts. Yeah. Regardless of who they are, how old they are, or maybe even what they are. Because I serve the people. I don't serve money. I don't serve corporations. I don't serve other corrupt officials. I'm there for the people. So, Blackhorse 2020, let's take America back. Save. Remember, a vote for Blackhorse is also a vote for Natus. I'm going to get myself a soda. Ah. I also thought of another thing. It's like, if enough evidence were compiled against a corrupt authority or a government official, they should unceremoniously be found or convicted of their offense. Because I believe courts should be reserved for citizens, not for corrupt officials. Because you're supposed to be serving the people. And if you're found to be doing something adverse to your position, then I'm afraid, my sir, you'll have to be convicted once enough evidence is compiled against you. You know, just so long as there's no shadow of doubt that said corrupt official is fully responsible for an egregious act. If such act is just a mere crime against, law, then of course they'll have to like face the same, if not more, penalty of that criminal act. But if it's an unconstitutional offense, then that's grounds for capital punishment. Can't let that slide. Not in the least. I don't know. But that was just an idea I had off the top of my head right now. What do you think? To anybody who would care to comment. Would that be a viable way to end corruption? And something like that would just be reserved for elected officials or government authorities and such. Of course, the citizens themselves would continue to enjoy the benefits of enjoy the benefits of a legal process and their day in court. But I'm just kicking around the idea that if there were enough evidence compiled against a corrupt authority or elected official, that they be unceremoniously found or convicted of said offense and swiftly be made to... Why am I doing both sides? I'm lost in thought. But yeah, swiftly made to just begin paying their debt to society. It's just a theory to keep corruption out of politics and branches of government. Oh, I thought it was a little quiet. Put some music on. Find like a techno mix or something. This looks like it might be promising. Whoops. Oh, man. Oh man. Oh. Hearing these weird sounds in the background. It's a bird. Man, almost done with the outlines here. Hoping the colors don't take too long to do. The colors should be fairly easy, I assume. Oh shoot. Completely forgot about this detail. Ah, nuts. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. I wonder if I can just... These are actually supposed to be the other way. Um... Ah, 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 ah. I wonder if it'd be faster to just repaint these ones. There we go. That's better. Well, since we're coming up on the 3-hour mark, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream here. I was hoping I was going to get this done within this stream, but it's fairly close to finish. And all I have to do is just do a few more lines and then color it. But maybe I'll just tack that on to the next next video I do. But just to let you all know again, for those who are watching, like I think this is going to be the last live stream I do for like commission work like this. It's like I know I said I enjoyed it because it keeps me productive, and uh, it's I'm glad that it does that. But then I'm sitting here thinking like, oh wow, like these are some pretty boring videos. Just 2 to 3 hours of straight of just me drawing. Like I don't have much to talk about. I'm attempting to save a lot of my rants for like a lot of the animated videos I want to make here in the near future. But I think for any more like videos of me doing commission work, well, I guess as far as me like recording videos for commission work, I'll just keep those as speed paints or something, just so my audience doesn't have to just sit through 2 to 3 hours of just me just drawing. But however, I do enjoy just the productivity I take on just from recording myself. And I'll see if I can carry that over into, I guess, speed paint videos. That way I'm just not too obligated into just saying much or it or mildly attempting to be entertaining. But I will keep the live streams for the how to art, the sketchbook tours, and the occasional let's draws, in which I will draw like requests from fans of I guess whatever character they want me to draw. So I'll still do the live streams, but just keep it to those, because for the commission live streams, they're just pretty boring, I have to say. It's like, yeah, I'm productive, but then even myself, I find that it's just so monotonous. But for those few who do enjoy the live streams, like, yeah, rest assured I'll keep doing live streams for the video submissions I suggest, or not suggested, that I mentioned. So yeah, the live streams aren't going to be done away with completely. But as far as commissions go, I'm just going to do them as speed paints or speed arts. Oh wait, I just remembered. I closed my commission status. Huh. So Yeah. So the last remaining of my commission queue, I'll only have like a few speed paints or speed arts to do for the remaining few. But they'll probably like do more speed arts in the future. Just because I want to work on doing or work on rendering a lot of my recent art, such as my Beehawk uh, furry content, and some of the other sketches I've been working on. Like I'll probably when I have free time, when I'm not working on deadlines for some of my passion projects. I'll continue to do speed arts of some of my recent artwork. Probably do a few more Natus themed pieces. I don't I don't think I do enough Natus work or Natus-esque stuff. So I'm hoping to do some more of that in either Let's Draws or Speed Paint. But anyway, thanks to the people who um, participated in the chat. It's always fun interacting with fans of my work and the fans, followers, and supporters. Um, do 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 do. Thanks for viewing. Let's see. For those who want to um, support the creation of more videos and artwork content from me, I do have a Patreon website. I'll leave the link in the description below. And feel free to visit my Patreon site. There's a lot of free content there for you to check out. And if you like what you see, then go ahead and think about becoming a patron by clicking that Become a Patron button. And if Patreon's not your thing, I also have a GoFundMe account. I'll also leave that link in the description below. And you know, it'll be there. Like if you still want to support my videos and my artwork, you can toss me a couple of bucks or some change or whatever. And I'm also a member of DeviantArt, Fur Affinity, Ink Bunny, and I'll leave those links in the description below. So if you're a member of any of those websites, you can start following me on those websites. And again, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun, even though I know how monotonous these videos are. What the hell? And if you like this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And as always, I will check you all later. Sweet. Bye.